Hey everyone, Buggy here. Welcome back to Baguburagu, the Bugvlog. I am normally here ranting about anime or whatever in my usual uncut, unscripted format, which means that it's usually, a pretty bad vlog. But today I'm going outside the box in terms of what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about anime or anything related to that. Well, I guess video games are kind of related to anime. There's a lot of overlap there. Today, I am talking about The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, a game I have been anticipating for a long, long time now. One that I've been looking forward to for ages. And I'm loving it. I'm really loving it so far. It's a good game. And I guess this is the point where I, mention that obviously I'm going to be spoiling a few things. I'm going to talk about a little bit of the story, past the opening of the game. Some of the story that pops up when you get around the Zoras or the Gerudo, which it shouldn't be a surprise to anyone that those are in the game. It's been shown in trailers and promotional stuff, as well as I guess some of the stuff from the wilds surrounding, the whole world. So I guess if you want to be exploring everything on your own, this is not a vlog for you. You should, just get out there, explore it. So basically, a game I've been playing lately before Breath of the Wild has been Skyrim, which Zelda has gotten a lot of comparisons to, just because, it's an open world fantasy, westernish fantasy game. And it's kind of a fair comparison in some ways, like they do have a lot of similarities, but I'm just so much happier with what Zelda was able to do with the game, because it was able to capture this sort of spirit of adventure. Breath of the Wild is a game where I'm constantly wondering. I'll look somewhere and say, I wonder what's over here. I wonder what's over here. There are such different places in the game that it's so diverse. It's always so fun to find these places. Every, sort of area you encounter is completely different, as Zelda series, tend to be. They tend to have some pretty diverse areas, but they're also, these very rich areas that feel very fun and natural to explore. It's like I wonder if I can climb this cliff. I wonder what's at the top of there if I get there. I wonder what's in the east. I wonder what's in the west. It's just I'm constantly exploring and discovering. You're looking around, saying, okay, well that's fun. That's what's over here. That's what's over here. Compare that to Skyrim. Like, the journey is not fun in Skyrim. Skyrim's a solid game and everything. I've been enjoying it well enough. But the travel in Skyrim is mostly, a means to an end. It's, okay, well, there's something to do over here. There's something to do over here. There's something to do over here. Let me go to that places. And in between, there's no real discovery, because it's always, the same small farms, the same caves, the same, random encounters with wildlife, and you get tons of fun quests that you can do, sure, but they're all kind of repetitive and samey. It's like, go into this cave, kill everyone in there, come out, go fetch me 10 bear pelts, bring me these ingredients. It's all the same type of stuff that you're doing if you're not doing one of the quests. So I'm very glad that Zelda was able to incorporate such a sense of discovery and wonder into all of Breath of the Wild. It's been, just so fun just to explore. Like, last night I was like, okay, I'm going to get back on the main quest now because I have been, neglecting that. I want to try to get done with the game as soon as I can so that I can stay ahead of spoilers. But what I ended up doing was basically going, well, there are these parts of my map that haven't been filled in. Let me at least go gather the maps. So, I go to all the different Sheikah towers that are sprouting up all over Hyrule and climbing them and gathering the map information. But just getting to all of those is a journey on its own, and it's so fun. And I spent all of last night, instead of getting to the plot, just going, okay, well, let me climb these places, look around. Okay, there's towers over there, and essentially plotting my route to how exactly I was going to visit the Rito, because it would actually be a lot quicker to go to the Gorons, I think, in terms of, what I've discovered and what I know I can get through. But I've just set myself up in a way where I'm like, okay, well, this is my next destination. I've decided that's my next destination there. I'm going to spend an entire day planning the way that I'm going to get there, and then going around the long way just so that I can get, the entire map explored on my way there. And it's a fun game. I'm not even touching on the gameplay. The Zelda finally seems to have gotten combat in a 3D game down. It felt really seamless in the 2D games, where, apart from maybe a Link to the Past, which didn't, the combat felt a little weird and janky to me there, but maybe that's because I'm used to the other 2D games. In those games, the combat felt really good, whereas in all the 3D games, from Ocarina of Time, even through Skyward Sword, all those games in between there, the combat felt awkward. Enemies didn't behave in a way that made fighting them fun. It made it a chore, whereas, here you run across a group of enemies and it feels fun because you don't know whether or not you're going to survive the encounter. There could be enemies that you're not seeing. They could be equipped with weapons that you're not expecting them to be equipped with. You maybe don't have the equipment that you thought you did in order to face them, and the battle could end up being tougher than you expected. It is always fun engaging in combat, and I really enjoy that for the first time in a 3D Zelda game. Basically, they got it down. It's not perfect yet. It's not perfectly seamless, but it is, a huge step forward. But there's just so much fun just exploring the world. I found this island that basically, I heard this disembodied monk's voice tell me, you've done good with, gathering equipment and relying on that so far, but now I'm going to take all your gear from you and, have you accomplish this quest with only your wits and what you can forage. And it basically drops you on this island, and you're running around and exploring it, and there's, a boss that, a more powerful form of an enemy there that I've encountered, once, maybe twice, and never even fought, because the description says that it can rip trees out of the ground to fight you with. And this is like a boss battle. It's basically throwing at you, and you don't have any way to really combat it, because you've had all your equipment taken. You can't just say, okay, well, I'll come back and do this later. No, there has to be a way, to get around this enemy, because he's got this necklace that has one of the orbs that you need to complete this quest. And it took me a long time to try to figure out. It was a tricky thing, but once I did, it was just so satisfying, and I wasn't expecting that to happen at all when I went to that island in the first place. It was just, oh, well, there's something over here. Let me sail over here after I've completed this shrine that I just did recently. Let's see how that goes. And I'm sure the game is just packed with stuff like that I haven't even discovered yet. There's so much of it I'm so excited about. I guess this is the part now where I start talking about the story. Basically, like, the plot of the game is that Calamity Ganon, which always makes me think of Calamity Jane, and it makes me chuckle a little bit. It's like, this Old West gunslinger, I'm Calamity Ganon. But Calamity Ganon has risen once again, and is, because Ganon always escapes. There's even a line in the game that says, Ganon, inevitably broke free. So basically what's happened is that you were fatally wounded in the battle against Ganon, because, Ganon, overtook all these giant robot things that you were supposed to, that was dug up, essentially, this ancient technology that was dug up to defeat him. He ended up possessing all of it and completely laying ruin to Hyrule. And in the battle with him, Link was fatally wounded, so he was taken to this shrine where he was essentially healing for 100 years. And I guess everyone in Hyrule has a really long lifespan because, everyone still looks, like a normal adult and not horribly old and wrinkled. But, it's, but so many people remember you. They're like, it's been 100 years since I've seen you, and it's kind of funny getting, an actual confirmation of how old people in Hyrule tend to be, now that it's, on the 19th game. But yeah, so basically, you gotta go beat Ganon again, like you always do, and Zelda is in Hyrule Castle and has been there holding him at bay for 100 years or something. I don't know. I honestly don't know if she is still alive and has been, living that long, or if she's just this spirit that's holding him off. Like the people who piloted the divine beasts, which were, some of these ancient tech that was, taken to defeat Ganon. The people who piloted those, they're all dead, and you have to go and, talk to them and their spirits and whatnot, and they'll aid the fight. But yeah, it's a pretty sparse story overall, but I think what it's really excelling in right now is character stuff. You don't get, an actual narrative so much as, you get to go to these different places and, find out sort of what's been going on, and then you get to learn about these four guardians that, fell in battle alongside you. And it's, you get little character pieces with them and little character pieces with Zelda, and it's, pretty subtle and well done. It's not like dropping a ton of exposition on you or whatnot. It's, just this subtle sort of character building that you get as you explore the world. And I think that's a really good way to tell a story in an open game world like this. You don't need too complex of a storyline. It's been, Zelda's been holding him at bay for 100 years. A little longer isn't going to kill her, unless she's already dead, in which case, whatever. But, she can wait a little longer while you, accomplish this quest that you need to do in order to be prepared to face him. Because, you can apparently face him right away once you finish the main thing, but I haven't even attempted that because it's not simple. So you instead, getting sort of these small different stories that tie into this larger story, this revealing of the past. I think that's made the story in the game pretty strong by just focusing not necessarily on a narrative, but sort of revealing the narrative that has already been told and already happened, sort of piecing the pictures, putting the pictures, putting the pieces together in a bigger picture, and being like, okay, well, this is what's what this is about. This is what's going on, and you know, just learning more about the characters in the world as you go. I think that that's a really good way of storytelling that they've been doing, and I am excited to find out more about that. I've collected like 4 of the 12 memories that give some of that info. I've gone to 2 of the 4 divine beasts, and figured that out. So I think I'm about halfway through the game, maybe. But yeah, that's been good. So that's all I could really ask in terms of a good story. I think it's impressed me. And like the bosses and the dungeons, the way those are done, they're exciting and they're different, but they still feel Zelda enough, and they're exciting. Like, to get to the first dungeon I went to, first I had to sneak up to a plateau and, stealth my way around as this Linnell, this giant centaur thing, is wandering around up there, and, steal all these arrows that he's fired off, because I need, shock arrows, which he has, and, you're not supposed to face him because he's too tough of an opponent for you to face, probably, at least. So that, that on its own is pretty fun, but you need to do that in order to get to the dungeon in the first place, which is this giant robot elephant that is firing off like these blocks of ice at you that you have to deflect while you're riding on the back of a Zora. And, once you do that, he gets close enough, and you swim up a waterfall, and it launches you into into the air, and then you've got to take your arrows and shoot at these parts of you target these certain parts of this giant robot elephant in midair, and it's fun, and it's exciting, and it just looks so cool. And feels so cool while you're doing it. The second one I faced was even cooler. I went to, the Gerudo Desert. And there, I had to steal this helm back from basically this offshoot of the Sheikah. Basically this evil Sheikah clan. So I had to go around out stealthing these ninjas to steal, their treasure back from them, or, this Gerudo treasure back from them. At which point I could approach, the giant robot camel. And to get there, I strapped myself to the back of a sand walrus. So I'm, skiing through the desert on my shield, strapped to the back of a sand walrus, basically, while this giant robot camel is firing lightning at me. And I've got to stay in this protective sphere while it's firing lightning at me, so I can get close enough to shoot bomb arrows at its feet. And then, the inside of that dungeon, too, was so fun. It's just, these 3 cylinders that you have to rotate to get electricity flowing through it right, and to get access to, these certain places that you need to go. It was a tricky dungeon, but it was a fun dungeon, and it took me a while to figure out on my own, but I figured it out all on my own, and when I did, it was so satisfying. So, I guess that's what I've really taken from it so far. It's this sense of wonder. It's, it's the satisfaction I'm getting from, these big story parts, and it's, a nuance from a good story. So I'm loving Breath of the Wild so far. I just had to sit down and get some of my thoughts out on that. So, yeah, this has been the Bugvlog, Baguburagu. I will talk to you later, I guess. Bye-bye.